friends, in today's video we're going to be servicing a VW Touran 2007 model. So what we're going to do here is we're going to change the air filter, oil filter, fuel filter, pollen filter, and we're going to do the oil change. So it's going to crack on with it. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to remove the cover underneath, under tray, to drain the engine oil. So for that we're going to jack up the car and start the procedure. Right, there we go friends. I've taken the under tray off, so now we can clearly see the oil drain plug. So we're going to be using a 19mm socket to undo it. Okay. There we go. So what we're going to do is while we are draining the engine oil, we're going to remove the oil filler cap from the rocker cover so that there isn't any vacuum buildup and the oil can flow out nicely. Now that we have drained the engine oil, so we're going to put the drain plug back in. I've just changed the washer as well. So it's the 19mm socket we're going to use to tighten the drain plug. Just gonna give it a good wipe. So that's the engine oil nicely been drained out, and I'll put the drain plug back on, tightened it to the required spec. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna put the under tray back on. Right, so next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna change the oil filter, which is just here. Right, in order to remove the oil filter housing, we're gonna be using a 32mm socket to undo the housing. So just gonna do that now. So I'm just gonna pull it out. So that's the old oil filter, nicely been removed. Right, so we're just gonna remove the O-ring from the old oil filter. Just gonna give it a good wipe. Here comes the new filter. So we're using QH parts. So before we slide this filter in, we're gonna be installing a new O-ring onto the housing. There we go. So just gonna apply oily hands on it to prime the O-ring. New oil filter comes in place. Just gonna push it all the way in, and then we're gonna prime this small O-ring on the end here. Just gonna slide in the new oil filter. So always hand tighten it to start off with. Right, just gonna tighten the housing cap. So the torque on this housing cap should be no more than 25 Nm. So that's the oil filter nicely been changed. Right, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to change the air filter on this VW Touran. So a couple of Phillips screws. Right, so just gonna take the cover off. Here comes the old air filter. Just going to replace it with the QH new filter. Just gonna slide it in. Just gonna make sure that the housing is all nice and clean. Yeah, seems all nice and clean here. So just gonna line up the screw holes. Just gonna tighten the screws back on. And that's the air filter nicely been replaced. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to change the fuel filter, and the fuel filter location on this VW Touran 1.9 TDI is just here, and we're going to be using T20 to take off 5 screws. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then the 5th screw is just here. There we go. So in order to pull the lid off, we'll need a pick tool. So we're going to slide it in here, and we're going to try to lift the cover up like this. There we go. That's the old fuel filter nicely been removed. Right, so what we're gonna do here is we're gonna remove the O-ring, the old one. There we go. So that's the old O-ring out of the way. Here comes the new filter. Again, we're using QH part. So the way it goes in is like this. So just gonna slide it in here like this. So it's just gonna sink in to its place like this. Okay. And the new O-ring is just here. Just gonna apply oily hands on it to prime it a bit, and then what we're gonna do is we're just gonna slide it in here. That's perfect. So that's the new O-ring nicely been fitted, and just gonna line up the holes. There we go. So that's the housing fully in. So just gonna drive them in by hand. Right, here we go friends, that's the new fuel filter nicely been replaced on this VW Touran. Right, so the next thing I'm going to do is we're going to change the pollen filter on this VW Touran. So here is our new pollen filter. So the location for the pollen filter is under the glove box on these Tourans. So basically we'll have to remove this cover here, which is secured by two clips. So you just basically, this is a screw, so you just undo it here, and then there's another one here. Okay, so then you just pull it down just like this. Okay, just gonna put it on the side. So the location is just here, this one, this from here. So we're gonna slide it towards normally there are screws securing it, but in our case there isn't any screws present. So basically just pull it towards the left, and then just take the cover off. Once the cover is off, you just pull it down in this manner. There we go. So this is our old pollen filter. Okay, it looks quite dirty. Okay, here comes the new one. So just going to slide it in here. There we go. So just gonna slide it in this manner, and then just gonna angle it. There we go. So that's the pollen filter fully home. So once you push in, it just automatically gets placed. So the next thing I'm gonna do is we're gonna line up these grooves on the cover, and then just gonna push it all the way in. There we go. So that's the, let me just push it a little bit more. There we go, friends. That's the new pollen filter nicely been replaced. Right, so the next thing I'm gonna do is we're gonna fit the cover in. So the way cover goes in is like this. Just gonna push it all the way in here like that. Okay, so just gonna line up the holes. So here comes the fastening clips. So just screw them in. Here's another one. There we go, friends. That's the pollen filter cover nicely been put back on. Right, the last thing we're gonna do is we're gonna fill the engine up with fresh oil. So we are using Hyperlube C3 fully synthetic 530 engine oil. The engine oil capacity on this VW Touran 1.9 TDI is 4.3 liters. So we're just gonna pour the engine oil into the engine. Right, here we go. So the level is perfectly fine on the dipstick. Just gonna demonstrate it to you once again. It's at max level, which is up here. where the bend is on the dipstick. Right, just gonna put the oil filler cap back onto the engine. Right, here we go friends, job done. Hope this video is gonna help you service your car.